This is the moment we waited for. Everything you want is right here. We gon' give them what they came for. We gon' take it up from last year. Shoot on my shot, boy, I'm long range. Me and the team on the same thing. Stayed down, never switched up. Only thing changed was the game. I'm in the zone now. Nothing can change what we on now. When I pull up, know it's going down. Foot on the gas, ain't no slowing down. Aiming for greatness, no settling.
Yo, what up? It's your boy Phil Porto, aka Phil All Caps, and I'm chilling with three of my favorite compadres in this Knicks universe. We got my guy Billy, the angry Knick fan, at the bottom over there. We got Mr. Diehard Eru, and then we got my guy Guard Up Nick himself, Mr. Apollo Reed. What up, gentlemen? How you guys doing? Crazy few days of basketball for us Knicks.
Up and downs, man. Jesus. It's crazy around here, man.
A lot of takes out there.
I almost went on mute again. I almost muted Twitter.
Billy on mute right now. There you go.
Good, because you probably didn't want to hear what I had to say.
I love it. Yeah, it's been crazy. We've had a roller coaster 4 games, and that's a lot to try to talk about in one episode. So we're not going to talk about every single game. We are going to talk about the last 2. But before we do, I want to do a little bit early right now. All right, we're going to jump into this part of our segment real quick, and we're going to do it for each game. But this is just to highlight a few little Twitter clips that we'll then talk about the contrast from what we saw after the Pacers game to after what we saw now. We're not going to talk about the Bucks game at all because honestly, the Bucks are absolutely horrible right now. There was nothing really to talk about from that game, but we're going to do this real quick.
Let's talk about it.
All right. So first, one thing that we can all agree on is something that I said on our last show, and Fred Katz is here, agreeing with and promoting the same content, which is right here. Been lost in the sauce to begin an up and down Knicks start. But OG Anunoby has been consistently churning out A-grade performances this year. He's giving the Knicks everything they could ask for on both sides. I posted this last game. Every time I see OG Anunoby play, I have to thank the Lord that trade happened, because he is honestly the breath of fresh air for our New York Knicks right now. Like every single game, he's out there putting up offensive numbers now, but also playing D. Some of the rotations have been weird by Tibbs on who he plays against OG, but OG himself has been a G. So we'll talk about that a little more. But then after the Pacers loss, because it was a heartbreaking loss, someone posted this. All right. Site New York NYK. He said, "I'm devastated. I was robbed at gunpoint by 2 men, one overweight with a beard, the other really tall. They pulled the gun on me and they took my bag, shoes, and my wallet. I can't believe this. I'll update you shortly." He then posted pictures of who those 2 were that robbed him for everything he was. And one photo was Tom Thibodeau at a gas station, and the other was Jericho Sims. So a lot of people were a little bit frustrated on that. Then my guy JD, he said, Mikal Bridges, the lack of physicality and aggressiveness on defense is concerning. The head coach also deserves constructive criticism for his defensive game plan. Why continue to go under on Halliburton? No adjustments on Turner. And where are the 3 attempts on offense? So a lot of people have had some concerns on not Mikal Bridges' offensive game, but also his defensive game over these last few games. And then this one's important. So remember this tweet. All right. Remember this one, guys. All right. Jay from Florida. He said, "I said this last week. That's supposed to be already looking towards the summer. This team got no dog. We need dog bad." All right, cool. So that were people's thoughts after those 2 games. Okay. Real quick, I'll just give 1 or 2 sentences. What were your guys' thoughts on those 2 games? Did the Bucks game really matter? How'd you feel about that Pacer loss? I'll throw it around first to you, Apollo.
The Bucks game, I kind of expected us to win, just from a pace standpoint. They're not really playing well at all. But the Pacers game, that one hurt because it was a winnable game in my opinion. But they just it was a frustrating loss. It was a frustrating. I don't like losing to the Pacers at all. But just the way we lost and just letting these guys take crazy threes and Miles Turner going crazy from three. I just don't like when he gets hyped and starts screaming and yelling. It really pisses me off. But I tried to let that one go.
Yeah. What about you, Ebru? What were your thoughts on that?
Well, the Bucks and Philadelphia are basically the same team. So we played them the same way. The Indiana Pacers and the Bulls are basically the same team, and they gave us the same shit that the other team gave. So the Knicks have problems with athleticism, and we have problems with length, and that's it basically. We let you're talking about going on the screens. The Knicks keep doing it every single time to these type of teams. But when it comes to regular teams like the Bucks, who don't really don't have those young guys, same thing with Philadelphia, they don't really have those young guys. We can stay with that team and win. So that's my take.
Yeah. What's your thoughts, Billy?
The Bucks game, I got killed on Twitter because I said I wasn't impressed by the victory. It did nothing for me. I said that right after the game in the post-game space.
Yep.
But then when it comes to the Indiana game, everybody felt the same way I did when we lost to Indiana with the Bucks game. I had to tell everybody in the beginning before that Indiana game, it's not a given. Just because we beat them on game 2 don't mean we was going to beat them the second time around, especially it being here in Indiana, man. It's a nice home court advantage they have here,
Yeah.
And the Knicks don't have identity yet. So truth be told, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer. That game almost went the kind of way I expected it to go to a certain extent because of the issues we have early in the season.
Yeah. And, the only thing that really frustrated me, that Bucks game, like I said, there's not really much to the Bucks this year. They're a very confused team at this point. But the thing that frustrated me so bad about that Pacer game is how you can get a guy like Halliburton in our first interaction against them and completely lock him down. And then you can completely let him destroy you in that next game. Not because he was great, but because we let him do everything he's known to do. That's the frustrating part, is if you're going to let Halliburton beat you, make it that Halliburton had this crazy game from inside the paint. Make it be that Halliburton found a new way to score. But the fact that we let him do what he does, which is just chuck up these threes over and over again, doesn't make sense to me. Why we did not play defense. And it's like what I see in the chat right there. Ebony's saying it, and she is right. Defense. That's going to be a common theme for today's show is how do we have a coach that has been known his whole career to focus on defense, and yet our defense is one of the worst in the league right now. And so we're going to jump into the first of these 2 doubleheaders and start talking about those. But before we do, we want to give a quick roll call to everyone in the chat. Shout out to David Smith. Shout out to my guy Sherwin. Appreciate you so much. Ebony, what up, fam? Stephen Tooney, appreciate you. Thank you guys for everything. Always supporting. We appreciate you guys. If you guys can, please hit a retweet, hit a Instagram post, whatever, get more people into this, this episode and continue to build this channel. Shout out to our Nick of Time family for embracing us, bringing us on. But yeah, it's one of those things where we got to talk about each game individually because it seems like every game we see a different New York team, which is weird. It's really weird to see something and be like, yeah, this is our strong suit, and then not see any of that next game. So the first game we're going to talk about is this one right here. Us against the Philadelphia 76ers. Because there's a lot to talk about, when it comes to Philly. Kind of like, Billy, posted that he wasn't impressed with that Bucks win. This is how I felt about the 76ers. And the reason I felt that way is because, let's be honest, Joel Embiid looked like a shell of himself. Like, he looked horrible. I don't remember the announcer, but someone said, I think this is the worst game that I've ever seen, like, of Joel Embiid. Like, the worst performance that I've ever seen Joel Embiid.
You just muted yourself.
Yeah, here you go.
Said he was out there. You know, it's that Embiid was out there. Cat did a great job against him. Like, Cat really did a good job, but he was not himself, and he's on a minute restriction as well. And you also got to pay attention to the fact that Maxey wasn't there. You know, like, we cannot be like in games previously been like, yeah, but we were without Brunson, or we were out. Admit that their greatest scorer this season was not healthy, you know, was not on the court with them. So that's a huge thing. So we took that game 111-99. OG led the way with 24 once again. Brunson struggled, had 18 points, but the struggle was 33% from shooting, which is why you saw so many Twitter accounts, you know, pissed off about shot selection, this, that, whatever. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts, not mine. So I'll throw it to you first, Eru. What was your thoughts on the 76ers game?
You know, you basically said it. You know, Embiid wasn't himself. You know, they weren't really running the things that they would normally run if they had Maxey. If Embiid was actually cooking, you know, the 3-point shot wasn't there for him. Him posting in the paint wasn't there for him. Even him playing dirty wasn't really there. So that whole aspect just wasn't there. So the Knicks basically took care of business because they didn't really have much going. The Knicks could guard Paul George, you know, one-on-one with our guys. Even though Paul George was kind of having his way with our guys, we still were able to contain him within the flow of what they do. Same thing with Embiid. He wasn't active, so we were able to contain certain things and do what we do. So I mean, you know, for one thing, just to see the guys get loose, because I think that's the problem with Mikal. Mikal, like, he's just like pressing a lot, you know. So I think a lot of our guys are kind of doing that. So it's a little bit frustrating because it seems like every other team that's out there, they're kind of just, no matter what's happening with their team, they come out ready to play, and then our guys are just not ready to play night in and night out, and that's really annoying. So that's what I saw from Philadelphia. Same thing. I was not impressed with the win. It didn't make me feel good at all, you know.
Yeah, and that's one thing I want to say is, like, I don't understand how people say, you know, call you a hater because you're not impressed by something, you know, like, kind of like if a team beats the living daylights out of us because OG Anunoby, you know, Karl Anthony Towns is out sick, you know, like, are we going to say that there was an impressive win for them? No, we're going to be like, come on, you beat a deflated New York Knicks team. How many times have we said that before? You know, like with Indiana last year, we're like, okay, Pacer fans, congratulations. You guys went to 7 against, you know, a crippled New York Knicks team. Like, is that really impressive? But when we say it within our own fan base, you know, we're haters. You know, we don't love the team. We don't support the team. And I'm like, no. Like, how much money have I invested into this team? How much time have I invested in this team? That's why I can say I wasn't impressed, because I do spend so much time and effort watching this team, and that performance itself wasn't impressive. What are your thoughts, Billy?
With the Philly game, man, it was another win. I mean, I'll take all the wins. Don't get me wrong, you know what I'm saying? But it was good to see. It was good to see, like, OG doing his thing, being mad aggressive. I definitely gave the game ball to him, and Josh Hart. I had 2 people to get a game ball to that time. I think Josh Hart had a triple-double that game as well. OG was mad aggressive. Almost looked like he can be the third option for that night. You know what I'm saying? And it's also good to see the team, you know, when your best guy isn't particularly, and Jalen Brunson isn't particularly shooting well, you built this team for other guys to step up. You know, so if your top guy's not doing well, other guys can step up and you still keep the ball rolling. As far as, like, Philadelphia, I agree with Eru. You know, didn't have Maxey, you know, so you really couldn't gather a sample size of how to measure that game. And Joel Embiid just looked awful. Like, yeah, he looked terrible. It wasn't even about, was he healthy, was he in shape, the whole night. But we're always asking these questions about Joel Embiid, you know what I'm saying? And it always has to do with health and him being in shape and whatever. So, you know, I mean, take advantage of it. At the same time, it's the consistency factor. You know what I'm saying? We'll see a good thing from the Knicks against Philly, and then, you know, we'll see something else totally different, out of character, the very next game. So, you know, when I say I'm not impressed by something, it's because I have yet to see the consistency and of the team and how they flow, the identity and all that is still in question. But I mean, like I said, I'll take any win we get.
Yeah.
Well,
I
I want
feel
to
you.
add, it's like kids, like your kids, they say, hey, Dad, I cleaned my room. But meanwhile, you like immediately go, because you've been all week, I've been telling you the same thing. You haven't cleaned your room yet. So it's the same thing. It's like we're waiting for like the Knicks have a good game, just like against Philadelphia. It's like, okay, it's cool, but I'm still seeing the missing defense and stuff. I'm still seeing missed assignments. I'm still seeing the body language is a little funny. So it's not that's the feeling I get when I see it. I'm not impressed. You still gotta like prove to me that you can clean your room consistently, and then you can get praise, or maybe get the next thing or whatever.
It's like
But even that,
you're rewarding a fish for swimming.
exactly.
Right.
That's what I was gonna say. Is
Congratulations.
like even then, you're expected to get excited because they did something that they're supposed to do. Like congratulations, but you're supposed to do that. Like come to me and say, "Hey, Dad, I cleaned my room, but I also put away the dishes today." Like, holy crap, that's not your job, but you came out and did it, like that's something to reward. That's something, but to tell me that you expect rewards because you did what you're supposed to do on a daily, that's the weird thing. So, Apollo, what was your thoughts on that one?
I mean, it was good to see. I mean, we haven't been playing well. Like, I'll be honest, I liked watching it because it was a lot of negativity around the Knicks for since the season started, because we haven't really played up to the potential. So it was cool to see a win. Everyone's numbers were good. I mean, I think we were rolling that game. I mean, that Josh Hart had like a triple double that game, I think. So it was a good game. I think it might have been Campaign's first game back. So, good to get a bench piece back. It was good. Like I said, it was good to see. But like you guys said, it's not impressive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like you said, Embiid it was his first game of the season, technically, right? I think Paul George was his first game in 5 or 6 games.
Yeah.
So it's like these guys don't have any chemistry. They were, like you said, they were missing Maxey. It wasn't impressive, but I was glad to get the win. You know what I mean? Like, it's always fun beating Philly. You know what I mean? But it wasn't anything that I took away from that game and said, whoa. Now, I will say that it was good to see them really work their game out. And like somebody mentioned in the chat, if Brunson doesn't draw the attention he draws, then Cat doesn't get the single coverage that he gets, which is good. That's one good thing. That's one good thing to look at with that pairing. But even in that game, I think it was like who's the other guy on the Sixers?
Lowry?
No, the big man, Yabusele.
Yabusele.
He was going at Cat. You know what I mean? Hitting threes. Like it just sometimes I just like I don't know what it is, that the defending the paint thing has to change. Even in that game, it wasn't good. So you know what I mean? It was cool to watch a win.
See, and there was things that I do celebrate, because like you said, a win is a win, and we're at a point in a season where we're still trying to gel. So I'll take the win, like at the end of the day, it's a win. Mm-hmm. However, there's things that we still got to pay attention to, the fact that they got guys, like coming off the bench, the rookie, Jared McCain, 23 points against us, like making it look like he's rookie of the year candidate. And he might be, we'll see. But the fact that he can come in here and get 23 points against us is just like, okay, that is something wrong with our defense. There's something going wrong with our defense. Paul George coming back, one of his first games, 29 points against us. What is going on? Joel Embiid, even though he's a shell of himself and looked pretty poor, he's still at 13 points in 18 minutes against us, So imagine if our defense was actually clicking, how much different that could have been. That's one of those games where you go, Maxey wasn't there, Embiid was a shell of himself. We blew them out of the water by 35, but we're not saying that, we're not saying we beat them by 35, it's not that huge of a win. So those are the things that I look for. But I want to give a few shout outs. We got some more people that came into the chat. We got Shanti in the building. Appreciate you so much. Nostalgic Nick, always supporting. Appreciate you. Dorkosaurus Rex, great thing right here. Tibbs cares more about his pride than winning basketball games, which, there's a Tibbs way, and a lot of people are not happy with it right now. We're going to talk about this a little bit more. Shouts to Cat, MVP status right now. And I don't know many people that can argue that. Obviously, it's early in the season, but we'll still talk about that. Sherwin, I'm not impressed with this team. I don't think we can win 45 games. I was at 60 with Randall and Dante. I do believe we can win 45 games once this starts to click, and I think eventually it will. It's just going to take some time. But what I will say is the grass is always greener on the other side, or we think it is. People want to bring up Randall and Dante. All over Twitter this past week, there were tons and tons of Minnesota Timberwolves fans that were talking about how much they hate Julius Randle, how Julius Randle has been, sucking the life out of their team, that he doesn't play any defense, that his body language is horrible, which is hilarious because I remember the first time I said body language, everyone was like, you're such a hater. Who actually looks for body language except for Knicks fans? And now you have like Minnesota Timberwolves like fans talking about Randall's body language. So grass is always greener on the other side. David Smith said Brunson is short and not the best on defense. Yeah, but we've known that, since the get-go. That's not something we're going to harp on. Coach, appreciate you so much for being in the building. Thank you for the love and support. Who else do we got in here that's snuck in over the last few minutes? JT Riddick, appreciate you. Who else we got? Dorkosaurus Rex said Tyler Kolek is a better defender than Julius Randle, and I'm kind of pissed off that we haven't seen any Tyler Kolek minutes in the last few games, but we'll talk about that as well. Any thoughts before we move on to the next section? Closing thoughts on that 76ers game? Anything that you saw that made you go, at least this was the bright, shiny day in the midst of all of it? If not, we'll move on.
Tibbs went to a 9-man rotation that game. He went to a 9-man rotation that game. It was Campaign's first game, so them guys went to a 9-man. And thank you, because my biggest heart, and I always said like 20 games I would relax or whatever, but I just been real pissed off at the rotations. Like, you can't run a 7-man rotation in November, Tibbs. Like, you have to come on. Don't start getting in your own way. You know what I'm saying? Okay, maybe the guys that you want available aren't available right now, but see what you have right now. It's November. Better to find out in November than it is to find out in March. So, and he went to a 9-man rotation the last 2 games. Because, in the Indiana game, Indiana had a 10-man rotation, and they got and Rick Carlisle got over 60 minutes from his bench when they had 3 guys, heavy guys, important guys in his rotation that was out. So, I mean, yeah, if you want to give a silver lining of that, yeah, he went to a 9-man rotation.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was a bright, shiny day because we actually saw him once again go to a longer, bigger rotation last night as well. I'm a little thrown off by some of the rotations. Like we saw certain players getting some shine and playing well. Tyler Kolek was playing well. Huck Porty was playing well. And since they played well, we haven't seen them. And now we're seeing other players coming off the bench, like Ryan, coming in, which had some weird minutes. But we'll talk about that. Is anybody
pissed off about that, though, the Matt Ryan thing? Because that really pissed me off. I did a pod before this one at like 6:30 or whatever, and I was really going crazy about Matt Ryan because it's annoying that he's off the street, but we have guys that deserve minutes that haven't been getting the shine. Is anybody else annoyed by that?
We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the rotations. But before we move away from the Sixer game, I do want to play this real quick. Shout out to my guy, Doug. If you don't follow Doug on Twitter, you need to. Because Doug is freaking hilarious. Doug is actually in a metal band, and he's been creating metal songs after games now, and he's going to continue to try to do it. So this was his recap of the 76ers game.
Give him a game.
He's awesome.
I love it. I love it. I know that we have a lot of like MCs, within the community. So I wanted to highlight Doug because, he's bringing something different to this New York Knicks fan base. But before we go into that game, I do want to talk about, and before we talk about this whiskey for tonight, I do want to talk about something you guys brought up, and that is Josh Hart. Because the one thing that we can say this season is there's been two people that have been consistent. And that is Josh Hart, triple-double, over and over and over again, and OG Anunoby. We already gave, OG his praise. But this right here was, something that I really liked because a lot of people were complaining before they won that game against the Bucks and after the Pacers game about like our identity and how, pretty much we suck, throw in the towel. And he said, we're just 10 games into the season. We've got all of you in the media all crying about how we look offensively, defensively. Some people are ready to pack the season in. Some people saying we lost our identity. We don't listen to it. At the end of the day, we know what we have and what it takes. And it's just some fine tuning. What do you guys think of that statement? Like, I know the fan base is kind of split. There are people that kind of like that. Jay from Florida posts saying that we have no dogs. We have no identity. We aren't going anywhere. And then you have some that want us to keep on believing, keep having hope. But then you got guys like Josh Hart, our utility guy, our Swiss Army knife, our hustler every single night being like, we know we have something. We know we're going to be a good team. It's just got to come together. Like, we just need it to get there. What are your guys' thoughts on that quote real quick? I'll pass it around to everybody, and then we'll jump into the whiskey.
I agree. It takes time. It's chemistry. It takes time to build. But there's certain things that's not chemistry. You know what I mean? I expect to see the miscues on offense and stuff sometimes, but the defense is like, and it's not even just schematic. A lot of times it's just, you could have just played better defense there. You know what I mean? And that's most of the time. It's not even schematic. It's just like, guys, put up a better defensive effort individually. And I think, and it's not just play fast and, run, just like literally just play better defense. Like it's really just the defensive part that I really don't understand how they're not getting it. Like they'll score and then they let guys get down the court and just get easy buckets. They're not switching right. Guys are not getting out to guys. They're just getting picked apart on defense, especially in the paint. It's just really, really bad. I don't know what's going on with Macau, but even Cat, his numbers are terrible in the paint. On defense, his offense is amazing. If his offense is the reason why we've probably won any of our games, if we're being honest. But defensively, it's just to keep him on the floor at the same time. It's like everyone scores on him. Anyone. Pick a guy. You know what I mean? Like they go up and they score on him, and it's hard to watch, man. I miss Mitch like a bad habit.
All right, what about you, Billy? What are your thoughts on that?
Look, it's like when people used to talk about Jalen Brunson's defense, right? Julius Randle's defense, right? Yeah, we already know what they can't do. But the thing you ask for your players is when you can't do one thing, what can you do to impact the game? What other things can you do to impact the game? I'm not going to sit here and talk about Cat's defense every single night just off the strength that I've been watching Cat for a very long time in college up to this point. I know he don't play D. You know what I'm saying? It's like me trying to ask Jalen Brunson to be a first-time All-NBA defender. It's not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So, and you got to be careful when you talk about Cat now. Because as soon as you say something negative about Cat, you're deemed a Cat hater. I don't know where this rhetoric came from, but the same Cat fans that hated Randle fans, they have become that same fan that they hated. So you got to be careful what you say. But back to the question at hand, man, the offense is not the problem on this New York Knicks team. You know what I'm saying? They're tops in almost everything. They're talking top one of the best field goal percentage shooting teams in the league. Offensive efficiency. Points, they're like right around the middle. But the offense is they're very efficient. The offense is not the issue. Flip side, flip the coin to those statistics on defense. They're damn near at the bottom of everything. You know what I'm saying? They're last in blocks. They're last in defensive efficiency. Points allowed in the paint. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. Matter of fact, go back to the offensive end. They're even last in free throw attempts in the league. Yep. But they also almost give up the most free throws, you know what I'm saying, a game on the defensive side. So the problem is defense, and it's very alarming because right now, if you want to put something on the trade, it looks like, I'm not saying we won the trade, we lost the trade. I'm never going to say that. You know, the story is going to write itself toward the end of the year. But we traded defense for offense. We definitely did that. You can tell within the first 11 games, it's just in the numbers. It is what it is. And people are like, you guys are complaining. Cat's giving you phenomenal numbers. We're one game under 500 in 11 games. Now, I get it. This goes back to the Josh Hart quote. Take time. It's going to build chemistry. Everybody knows that. Just because you're critiquing what you see don't mean you're crashing out. You know what I'm saying? What I see right now, what I saw last night in the Chicago game, and I know you probably get to it later, Phil, but what I saw last night in the Chicago game, the first 2.5 quarters, was a team who didn't feel like being out there that night. You know what I'm saying? It looked lackluster. It looked like no effort. Tom Thibodeau, you were a defensive coach. You know what I'm saying? I need you to figure it out. At the end of the day, this is where coaching comes in. It's not that you don't just bring in the best personnel to make your coaching easier. You're still a coach. You still got to figure it out. Yeah. You're the one that draws the X's and O's, and you're supposed to be the problem solver. So we got to figure it out, man. I'll get more into it, but that's just me right now, man. The Knicks have a very, 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 very horrible issue on defense.
Yeah, and I want to highlight something you said because it's similar to what Ace in our chat said. Ace said, our problem isn't our offense. It's our defense and our stupid, stubborn coach playing a 7-8 man rotation, and we're playing stupid basketball. Like, the thing is no one can say that our defense is good at all, which is crazy because last year there was so much to complain about guys like Julius Randle's offense, defense, but yet our defensive rating is better than what it is right now. And it's crazy to hear the stats that we, are one of the best scoring teams, on paper. And yet we lose as many games as we do. Like, that's insane to score so much, but yet we let other teams score that much more against us. Like, teams get the most buckets that they get so far this season when they play against the New York Knicks. And that's horrible, because to be the best at something and yet still have less points than the other team isn't something to brag about at all. Like, it's like those kids that like talk about, well, I won, the award in Little League. It's like, well, yeah, they let 2 teams win all the time when you're in Pee Wee baseball. Like we grew up like, I didn't, but now they do. It's like, oh, just let both teams win. It's like, what are you talking about? Let both team win, but that's how it is. And that's how, it kind of gets seen. Before I throw it to, I believe it's you, Apollo, that hasn't given your take yet. I'm going to give a shout out to a few people that came in the chat. We got Waco in Brooklyn. Appreciate you so much for coming out. King Ribby, we appreciate you. I see you. Jay from East New York's in the chat. Appreciate you so much. Who else we got up in here? Let's see. Quite a few of y'all snuck in. So Prezi, my guy. Appreciate you, Prezi. Always good seeing you. What were you about to say, Billy?
I was saying you got a full-blown argument going on in chat. That's what's going on.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of fighting. Yeah, a lot of people going at it. But before we address them going at it, what are your thoughts, Apollo, on that quote?
No, I gave mine. It's Eru. Eru got to give his.
Oh, Eru, okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, back to the quote, because, I mean, he was talking about media crying and stuff like that. So I read up to crying. So, I mean, once you start saying crying, now to me, you're getting personal and stuff now, because you don't want the fans to get at you. Because I'm looking at, when you say media now, it's not just ESPN. Now you're talking about us, too. Because we're in the new social media. It's a new age now. So everybody has a microphone and a camera in their face now. So I took it I take it a little personal when people start talking about crying. As soon as you start saying that, now I don't even want to talk to you anymore. So I mean, that annoyed me, man. So I mean, he has a podcast. All right, we're not allowed to talk about the podcast. They're allowed to do podcasts and stuff like that. We're not allowed to talk about that. We're not allowed to talk about how they play and stuff like that. So all of this is annoying. But you will you know, shine light to haters. You know what I'm saying? And give guys tickets because haters are bothering them and stuff like that. That whole thing about social media and the media in general is just really annoying to me. So my thing with that, with the haters and stuff like that, my thing is like, don't talk about it. Just do better. Take responsibility for what the Knicks are doing and whatever, and take accountability. You know, talk about the game. Don't talk about people crying and stuff like that, because then that's what unleashes, you know, the states of the world. You know what I'm saying? That's why earlier today I went on my own little rant today, you know, going crazy about what's happening with the team, because, you know, like you know, it's unexcusable. You guys already covered the defense thing. You know what I'm saying? It's unexcusable how we're unprepared every single night. Every single night we don't know where the baskets are coming from. You know, and it's really annoying. You know, that guys don't know what we just can't manufacture points. Cat is the only one that's getting loose. He's basically playing within the flow of the offense by himself, but everybody else doesn't know what to do outside of that. You know, so it's really frustrating. And to tell everybody that they're crying, that annoyed me. You know, because I want to get behind Josh. Josh plays hard and stuff, so I want to get behind the guys that play hard. But don't start talking that people are crying, because that creates another problem.
Yeah. And just to play devil's advocate, knowing Josh, and we'll talk about this, and knowing how he feels about the fans and the independent media, I personally think that was more directed, like someone said in the chat, to the Shaqs. You know, the Shaqs of the industry that continue to say that the Knicks are done, that the Knicks are, you know, a lost cause, that the Knicks, you know, need to just think about next season, that we're never going to get out of this slump. I think that's more so what Josh Hart is talking about. But I don't
like that though, because you're saying that, oh, I think he's talking about this, man. What I say is, like, say his name. If you're talking about Shaq, say Shaq's name. Don't just say, oh, people are doing this or whatever. And then somebody like he was going to say, oh, but I think he's talking about this guy. No, say who you're talking about. Otherwise, don't say anything. That's where I'm at with
it. I feel you. All right. So we're going to go on to this next part, and Billy's doing something. It's okay, because Bully still has all of his whiskey.
Son of a bitch. Sorry.
Yo, Bully, if you're hearing this, like, stop stealing from Billy. All right,
the
stop
bottle
stealing
is gone.
from Billy.
Just move on, Phil. He's talking.
Yeah, I know.
Just move on.
I know. I'm gonna send out my own samples, because, you know, Bully was like, yo, if Billy's gonna do the show, you know, I'll just mail those to him tomorrow. You know, nope, lies. But we're gonna break into this one. And as a man of God, I typically don't have anything in my house that says devil. But this is the one we're gonna break into today. And it's called Devil's Tower by Redwood Empire. And the reason it's all right is because he's not talking about like El Satan. It's actually a place, a tree called Devil's Tower. It's Redwood is like national park, is home for like 45% of the remaining like redwoods that are on the earth. And within that forest, there's the Devil's Tower, named after the like monument in Wyoming. So pretty cool looking, you know, thing. If you search Devil's Tower, you'll see that it is a pretty impressive piece of, you know, nature to look at. Yeah, that one right there, Devil's Tower. So I'm gonna play this little video because they are our sponsor for this episode, and this is the little video that I did to support this bottle.
I know, they know, we know I'm a trendsetter. Hey, okay, I know I'm here to stay. Just counting on my wins, so I can't play it safe. Players trying to go against us, get you out the way. Go hard, it's the only way to play. Let me say, I'm a trendsetter. I'm a go-getter. I'm a trendsetter. I'm a go-getter. I'm a trendsetter. Who can do it better? I'm a go-getter. I'm a trendsetter. Hey, look.
Shout out to my guy Frank Bentley, also on that song, because everything I do, I put Frank Bentley in it. So shout out to him. But yeah, we're gonna go into this one a little bit. Shout out to my guy Prezi. I know he's one of the like big whiskey heads that is in our show. Shout out to my guy Eddie. Appreciate you so much, man. At about 9:45, we're actually gonna close today by 10 o'clock. So as soon as we're done, I need everyone to do me a favor. Head over to Twitter and support my guy Eddie, Tony, and Sonny. They got their show. Me and Eddie talked about it last night. It's so hard because like they do shows after the game. We do shows that aren't the same nights as games because we know it's hard for you guys to watch. So Eddie's trying to be supportive here. We're trying to support Eddie and Tony and Sonny. So once you get off here, if you guys can, head over to Twitter, support those guys, and continue to talk about the Knicks. I know for some of you guys, it's easier to turn your microphone on Twitter than it is to hop on an open panel here. But let's talk about this one because this one's a little bit different. Shout out to Prezi. Thank you so much. Appreciate you, NY Originals, for the $19.99 super chat. Thank you so much for your love, support. Honestly, guys, thank you. This is what keeps us being able to do stuff like this, and we'll continue to grow the channel. So we appreciate you guys. Shout out to Space Ghost. Appreciate you. He says, salute Phil, Apollo Reed, Billy, Eru in the chat. But so let's dive into this one, guys. So this one's unique. All right. It's going to be different than anything you guys have had before. Because this one, if you look at the bottle, it says high rye bourbon. So it's not just a regular bourbon, it's a high rye bourbon, which means that for it to be a high rye bourbon, the mash bill, like what it's created from, like the different percentages of either wheat, malt, corn, wheat, whatever, the rye percentage is a lot higher than normal bourbon. So that's why you'll smell a little more spice than normal. You smell that, Billy? Beautiful.
Yeah.
So it's a little more, got a little more spice in this high rye. This is what's called a 4-grain mash bill, which means that there's 4 grains in it. So it's 2.5% malt, 44% rye, 51% corn, 2.5% wheat. So there's a lot of variation in this one. And so in the nose, you can tell their aim was for this to be a sweet and spicy, whiskey at the same time. So you get those spices. You smell a little more of the alcohol than on some of the other ones, which have more sweetness up front. So with that nose, you'll get that, but you'll also get a mix of like green apple. So like if you think of like either a green apple Skittle or a green apple Jolly Rancher or green apple,
Sick, right?
Glow Pop. Like
Phil is
it's
sick
crazy.
with this stuff, man.
So you'll get green
as soon as
apple.
you said it, I smelled the green apple.
Yeah. So you got green apple, you got cloves, that spiciness, you got a clove kind of smell to it. And then also think of like caramel that's a little bit burnt. So not like the super sugary caramel, but the caramel that you burn a little bit to like have on the top of a creme brulee or something like that. So it's like that burnt caramel.
Hold on.
You're sick.
I'm starting to think you're just saying stuff because we smell every single thing that you say, like, literally.
Oh, yeah.
Every single thing that you say, I smell it. I smell burnt caramel, green apple.
And I'm about to
all
fry
kinds
some caramel as soon as we get up out of here.
See?
Hey,
So
you know what they call that? A connoisseur.
Thank you, sir.
You go.
Appreciate you.
There you go.
So I'm either a connoisseur or y'all are just hypnotized by me, and whatever I say, y'all think, I'm a hypnotist or a connoisseur. One of the two.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to take a sip of it. I want you guys to think of these flavors as you do. There's going to be little hints of maple, but there's also going to be that baking spice, but then also like think of tea. You get like Earl Grey tea, black tea, and then some of that green apple that I was talking about, like green apple candy.
Earl Grey. I smell the Earl Grey. I'm thinking eggnog too a little bit for some reason.
Which could be that burnt caramel. But when you taste it, you get that perfect Billy, you get that perfect sweet and spicy. So you get that spice still, but it's like sweet spice.
Damn,
yeah,
this shit is good as hell.
Yeah, I like that. This is good.
So y'all in the chat, if you like whiskey, right here, Redwood Empire Devil's Tower. I'm not sure on the MSRP on that. I think it's, let me check on that price real quick. Devil's Tower, Redwood.
That, man.
is delicious. It's seriously like something that you could share with people. Yeah, it's like an $85 bottle. And it's delicious. So shout out to Redwood Empire for putting out great whiskey. If you can't really see it from, the
Shout out
This
to
is what
Space Ghost.
right
He
here.
says it's coquito season, man. And that's definitely what I'm getting vibes of coquito right now.
Yeah,
boy.
yeah.
Oh, boy.
Coquito
Taking it
season.
good.
Say hello
Yes,
to
sir.
Ben.
Prezi, Redwood Empire. All right. Shout out to Kareem Grant. Appreciate you showing up. Appreciate so many of you guys showing up out of nowhere. It jumped from 50 to 125 plus in the chat right now. So we appreciate you guys so much. If you guys can, please hit that like and subscribe button. It truly helps us grow this channel, grow the show. Like you guys know, this show was on a different channel before. A lot of things happened, and this was the smartest move for us, was to partner with our friends at Nick of Time. And now we're trying to regrow the platform here and bring that old fan base over and merge it with a fan base that exists on this channel. And it takes time to do that. So if you guys can, please hit like, hit subscribe if you haven't yet. Also, appreciate that super chat. Super chats help us. They keep the lights on. They keep us being able to do new things. But also, there are, limitations with super chats. YouTube likes to take our money. So in that top right corner, there's a little scan thing right here. You can grab your phone, take a picture of that. It's called Buy Me a Coffee. It allows you guys to donate whatever you want to the channel. Takes way smaller of a percentage than YouTube does. But so if you guys want to support, feel free to. If not, we understand completely. But independent content creators, it's always a blessing. But let's move on from that to the next part of the show. All right, we're going to go into this Knicks versus Bulls game because there were so many mixed emotions in that game. So this right here, Knicks versus Bulls. And I want to pull this up real quick because there was a lot of feelings in that game. And I mean a lot of feelings from people. And so we're going to talk first about pulling it up real quick. Episode 3. Boom. All right. So Bulls. All right. All right. So right here. The game was absolutely horrible at first. Okay. Anyone who doesn't realize that first half was disgusting basketball, it just wasn't pretty. Like, we were down bad. Like, it did not look good. A lot of people actually were, posting on Twitter, hey, who else turned off their TV, calling it a night? Because it was bad. It was ugly. Some people need to not give up on their team that easily. But it was a very, very bad effort. And this is a lot of what we saw before that game and then during that game. So I'm going to highlight a few tweets real quick. Sorry, it only lets me add like 10 slides at a time for some reason. I don't know if I got to pay more or what, but it's kind of frustrating.
StreamYard is very frustrating, especially when you're trying to make stuff happen behind the scenes and stuff. It's really frustrating.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, like, I make everything's ready, but it's like every time we have a new topic, we have to completely take it down. So, all right. So right here. So this is what some people were saying before. There was a lot of Mikal talk. I have a feeling the convo surrounding Mikal Bridges is going to be rough. Can't say I blame anyone. I liked his first quarter, especially defensively, but then it's like he reverts back to a player who lacks awareness and intensity. Terrible combo. And then Big Mo, oh crap, no, that was supposed to be Big Mo. Let's read one. Big Mo also had a tweet very similar. So it's showing that a lot of people in the fan base are feeling a certain way about how Mikal goes from these highs to these drastic lows all throughout the same game. Big Mo said Mikal Bridges' inconsistency is weird. Some games his offense looks extremely smooth and the defense has been on par. Other games he looks absolutely confused on both sides of the ball. Lazy play and poor effort tonight. So that seems to be a huge theme. Matter of fact, Clyde in the first half of that game said that they looked tired and uninspired, that this was not fun to watch. So what did you guys see in that game? Because obviously, if we sum up that game, it's Knicks play like absolute trash in the first half. Huge comeback. Cat was still a monster offensively, 46 points, 60% field goal, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, 6 3-pointers. Jalen struggled, but then was clutch at the end, but too little too late. Like, what are your guys' thoughts on that game? I'll throw it to you first, Eru, and then we'll give it around the round table. And then if you're in the chat, give me some of your thoughts as well.
Well, I'm big with body language. People don't like to talk about it, Julius Randle and all this other stuff. But this guy, Mikal Bridges, he shows all of his emotions in his face. He like in his like arms and stuff in his face. So he was doing a lot of this, like that, and during the game, like he's just like he's trying to find energy from somebody. He's trying to feed off of somebody. So I'm thinking of somebody like Cameron Payne, because Cameron Payne saved the game yesterday. When he came into the game, his energy and his ability to push the ball and look at guys on the corners and stuff like that, even call his own number with transition threes and that type of thing. I thought that his energy kind of galvanized the team a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So stuff like that, like there's nobody to feed off of on the team. If Brunson is doing his thing, everybody's kind of just sitting around or whatever. OG's kind of getting his stuff off of broken plays and that type of thing. So he's like a scrappy kind of guy. But Mikal kind of eats in that realm also. So if OG is in his spot, really, then he's trying to figure out like how do I get in? How do I get in this? So like that's the body language thing that sort of stuff's happening. So I just think that the Knicks are just trying to find, like, we don't have that guy that we could just go to that galvanizes the rest of the team. I don't know if Julius was that guy, because Julius, a lot of times Julius would over dribble sometimes, but a lot of times him over dribbling took the ball out of Brunson's hand and allowed him to take it easy. And then he would kick the ball out and get other guys involved. So it helped out a lot. We don't really have that going on with the Knicks right now, So I think that's the biggest problem that I see with this whole situation here, man. It's with Mikal Bridges,
Yeah, and here's one thing I'll say that I want to, as you bring up points, right here, you talked about campaign. Shout out to my guy Lee from the Nick of Time show. Ev, appreciate you, my guy. Thank you so much for coming out. There has been enough good in each game to stop me from worrying. Okay. No pain equals a blowout loss from Dorkosaurus. So shout out to Lee, because Lee said, a few days ago, he said, as training camp dictates the 9th man in Tibbs' rotation, it's worth lamenting campaign possesses the same momentum shifting ability as IQ. So that's something he said on October 4th. And a lot of people disagreed with him. A lot of people, didn't believe that, he could have that kind of impact, to sway the game, that he was a good player, but he couldn't fully sway the game. And so Lee had to come back with those receipts, of course, and say, ha, told you. But yeah, campaign, without campaign, we look amateurish, in that game. Like, we look like we got the brakes beat off of us in all 4 quarters, because the first 2 we definitely did. But then campaign was kind of, our savior in that, 3rd and 4th. So shout out to campaign. But I'll throw it to you, Apollo, with your thoughts, and then we'll keep breaking it down.
It's just the Bulls or Mikal?
The Bulls
and Bull game in general. So I mean, well, just to piggyback on the campaign thing, like he definitely got us back in that game. I mean, if it wasn't for his energy and what he brought, I mean, that game is over. It was good to see us come back from 22 and actually make it a game, take the lead. But Mikal, man, it's very odd. He does this thing where he's like in the game and then he tries not to step on other guys' toes. And I see he gets the ball. He passes up shots a lot. He looks for. I just need more aggression from him. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what bothers me is it's a lot harder for him to be aggressive in these situations if, like, they're not going to get you the ball if you're not looking for your shot. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially scorers. You're talking about Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns. If they get hot, they're not looking for anybody else. That's just what they've proven us to do. So to us. So I mean, it's from what I see, I think he has to get his buckets when he can. You can't just go missing. You know what I mean? Because it kind of makes us very easy to guard. You know what I mean? Like the ball is going to go to Brunson or Cat, and that's it. So I mean, even though you can't double them off the point and attack, you still know that they're going to get the ball and they're probably going to drive and get to the paint and do these things. So I just need Mikal to be a little bit more. He's still doing the thing where he's like, all right, guys, I don't want to step on your toes. I'm gonna let you get off. And I just want him to get a little bit more aggressive and assertive in these situations, because it's just, you're not taking the shot. I see him. I forgot exactly what play it was, but it's just like he has the ball and he's just like, let me throw it to Cat in the post.
I know exactly what play you're talking about.
Yeah, and it's just like, dude, why not attack the guy you had in front of you? And he was barely pressing you. So I mean, that is, I don't know what it is. If it's communication, if it's the coaching that he's overemphasizing sometimes, because sometimes it is a scheme, but sometimes you gotta say, yo, fuck that scheme, bro. Like, let me do my thing. Part of my language, but it's just like, yo, like this. I don't want to see you just sit there and pass to those two guys all game long. Get aggressive. That's why we like Dante, because Dante was like, listen, I'm taking this shot right now and I'm gonna knock it down. You know what I'm saying? And that's what you need. You need someone to, all right, well, I can't completely focus on those guys. We got a whole nother guy who's cutting back door and doing these things, like aggressive. You don't need the ball to be aggressive. So I need a little bit more than that from Mikal, man. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
And as someone who really likes Mikal, like I do, I like Mikal. I think he's going to figure it out. I think it's a weird spot for our team right now when it comes to gelling. Like we've said on the past episodes, like a lot of these teams have either had time to gel. You think about Vooch and, Levine, they've been together for years. Colby White's been there adjusting with them for years. Our guys got this trade right before the deadline. Everything's kind of weird. And kind of, to me, one of those moves where I go, okay, front office, you did a good job getting what we needed, but dang, like you didn't give us time. You didn't give us time to gel, before getting thrown into this. And that's the big curiosity question of how long does it take for us to get there? But one thing that, we'll throw it to Billy in a second. But the coaching decisions have been confusing to me. Like you see Campaign help us get back into this game. That he's playing good basketball, on the offensive and the defensive end. And then in the last few possessions, when you really need defense, he's not out there. Like I don't understand moments like that. Someone said, I think it was Dorkosaurus, Tibbs been playing Mikal 40 minutes every game so far, whether he's playing good or bad, like that's something that we go back to what we've said in years past, where he allows himself to coach based off of a decision he made before the game instead of what's actually happening in the game. Like not being a play-by-play coach, but being a, this is our plan and we're sticking to it kind of thing. And I don't understand that. Right here, 19 con man, Cam and Cat bring us back and Tibbs didn't go back to Cam. Yeah, it's like if something is getting you to where you need to go, why are you not relying on him again? And so Billy, here's one of the let's talk about it points for the game, goes out to something that you'll remember, Billy. Billy said, I haven't seen a tweet in all caps tonight. Of course, Ari from Manhattan isn't watching tonight. And then Ari came back with all caps and said, 17-0 road since this tweet. Here are your all caps. So everybody from the fan base on Knicks Twitter, positive and negative and neutral Knicks Twitter, all had the same feeling when we started that comeback. Trippy right here said, one of the best Knicks comebacks I have ever seen was down 22 and ended the third down 5. Let's go Knicks. So everyone's on this high. So Billy, once you saw that trajectory change of like, holy crap, we're playing absolute garbage basketball, to holy crap, we could win this. Like, how did you feel in that game? And then how did your night end, feeling on that game?
I was pissed. I was pissed. Like, we shouldn't have been down 22 to the Bulls.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so I knew people were going to use, it's a back-to-back. So what? Every other team plays back-to-backs in the NBA. You know what I'm saying? Speaking of that, Philly in that same time frame was up against Cleveland without PG-13, without Tyrese Maxey, and without Joel Embiid. They were up. Us, we come out just like Clyde said. I remember the quote when Clyde said it, man. We looked terrible. Like, even when we came out of halftime, it looked even worse. And so, like, midway through the second half, when Campaign came in, Brunson went to the bench. Like, I know everybody was, the comeback. Yeah, the comeback. I was mad because why not start the game off like this? Mm-hmm. Why not? You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna tell you how the game turned around. In the first half, this is what else I was mad about, and especially in the first half, the Knicks settled the whole first half. They shot the most threes they have in a half. They shot 24 threes in the first half last night against Chicago. All right. During that comeback, and I think like 3 free throws the whole first half. During that comeback in the third quarter, credit to Cat. Cat made it his business to get to that free throw line and try to see the ball go through the net and try to build some rhythm. Now, the reason people saw Cat shoot free throws at the end of the game last night, because he uncharacteristically shot 50% from the free throw line during the game last night. He shot 4 for 8. You know what I'm saying? So 1 point victory, might want to blame yourself or whatever the case may be. You pointed so many things happen when you lose the game by 1 point. But, him obviously staying after that, I love to see that, though. I love that grit, love that tenacity. I like that. I love that. I have nothing negative to say about that at all. I love that. Everybody giving a shot at the Campaign as well. Campaign came out. Look, Campaign has never saw a shot he did not like coming off that bench, all right? He's been doing that all year, and I think he's going to continue to do that. But I love his energy. Campaign is one of them guys that you hate to play against, but you love to have him on your team. You know what I'm saying? Came out, give us 11 good points. Thank you. Flip side of that, we got outscored by bench scoring 29-13. Campaign gave us 11 of those. The other 2 came from Deuce. Deuce has been like a little roller coaster the last week or so himself. I know he got knee inflammation, and a couple games before that in the Indiana game, he was a question because he was sick. Come on, Deuce. I need you to step it up because right now we don't have much bench scoring. I know people are talking about, man, play Kolick, play Dadier. Look, I'll get into that later. But, yeah, that was the case with that. So that's how we got back in the second half. Got back into the game in the second half of that 17-0 run. Also, in the second half, I told you guys in the first half, we shot 24 threes. The Knicks only shot 13 more threes in the whole game. But what did they do? They attacked the rim. Again, I told you guys, the Knicks are number one or one of the top teams in the NBA in three-point percentage. But they're bottom of the league in three-point attempts. Don't deviate from the plan. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people on Twitter was like, yo, we need to shoot more threes. We need to pick the pace up, this, that, and the other. How do you pick the pace up? You play defense. You get defensive stops instead of taking the ball from out of bounds and getting rebound and pushing and go. That increases your pace. You know what I'm saying? You can't just don't become Indiana Pacers of last year and just have pace and that's it. You know, we're missing people as well, man. Damn, it's right there. Shout out to Prezi. I ain't even read my mind. Yep. The Precious injury hurt right before the preseason. Landry injury right before the preseason. The Mitch, that happened. You know what I'm saying? The news of that happened a week before we made the Cat trade. So, you know, you're still working. All these things are trying to work. So we really can't say, hey, we're waiting on Precious and Mitch and all them guys to come back. No, you got to fix this now because it's going to be easier for those guys to get implemented in the system. You know what I'm saying? So the Chicago game, I was really upset with the Chicago game, man. And then I know I'm long-winded. I'm sorry, but
no, you're good.
With Mikal, look, when that trade happened for Mikal, offense was the last thing I was worried about with Mikal. Mm-hmm. It was like, oh my God, we got another perimeter defender. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna be, you know, what was the Twitter world saying? Wingstop. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wingstop shut down. All right. Uber Eats. All right. Don't worry about Wingstop. Just call Grubhub something. Don't worry about Wingstop. Wingstop shut down. Only one person
drive through.
Yeah, the drive through. That was awesome, man. He said last week.
The drive through is closed now. Only one person working, and it's OG. Right? I don't know what Mikhail is doing. Because right now it's an issue. It is an issue on that perimeter. Because now we have to worry. It's a whole defense as a whole. We lack rim protection, and right now we lack perimeter defense. Our defense as a whole is an issue. And that's what I was saying earlier, man. Now it's Tibbs. Tibbs, now you have to coach. You know what I'm saying? Because the loss of coaching is gone. The art of coaching is gone now. We just want to bring skilled players to our teams and think, we have to do everything at a bare minimum. No. Because guess what? You have a guy at the 5 who don't play D. You have your 2 guys who don't play, who have the worst defenders, are your 2 best players on the floor. So you don't have a defensive scheme if 2 or the 3 guys or the 5 guys on the floor don't play D. So you got to figure it out. And right now they have to figure it out because the Knicks don't intimidate nobody at all, and that's a problem.
And it's crazy. It's like what I don't understand about this squad, which is a little frustrating, is common sense would say if something's not working, stop it. Like, don't continue to try to do it. And what we saw in that first half was disgusting. It was like the threes weren't falling, yet we kept shooting them. Like, if they're going on the other end of the court and they're scoring at will because our defense is absolutely lackluster at best, you got Zach LaVine pulling up from anywhere he wants on the freaking court and getting a bucket, whether it's a 2 or a 3, no defense stopping him whatsoever. And then we continue to go back and brick after brick after brick from 3. All we're doing is digging a bigger grave for ourselves to try to get out of. Like, you can't play catch up with the 3 when your 3s aren't falling at all. Like, you got to switch it up and start taking some easy 2s, getting to the foul line. The fact that they had 10 free throws more than us and they didn't even drive much because they didn't need to, because our defense was so lackluster from everywhere on the court. And yet they still had 10 more free throw attempts than we did, says something. And so I just don't understand why we don't switch something up. I don't understand how we allow something like that to happen. And the frustrating part is I think Tibbs is on that whole train that some of the fan base is on, where it's like, well, when Precious comes back, when Landry comes back, when Mitch comes back, are we really waiting until then to try to be contenders? If we got guys that have similar skill sets on the bench, like Huck Porty, he is a better player than Sims. I don't care what anyone wants to say. No offense to Sims, but if I'm going to put my money on a player to defend another big, I'm putting it on Huck Porty. If I'm putting my money on one of those 2 to score, it's going to be Huck Porty. So I don't understand why we're not allowing him to get minutes. Anytime Tyler Kolek was in, yeah, his defense wasn't great, but he was putting up buckets. Matt Ryan, not great defensive either, but he's not putting up buckets. He hasn't earned those minutes like Tyler Kolek was earning those minutes, So for me, a lot of this has to do with coaching. And, I remember when we first got news that Cleveland asked if they could interview Johnny Bryant. And I was like, yo, this would not be good. Pairing Johnny Bryant up with this squad, with his relationship with Donovan Mitchell, I think it's going to have an effect on the Cavs. So many people in the chat were like, Johnny Bryant ain't going to do nothing over there. Johnny Bryant's not going to help them. You guys are so obsessed with Johnny Bryant this, Johnny Bryant that. He can go. It's not going to affect anything. And it has. Our offense is our defense is suffering, and our offense, even though we're scoring a lot, doesn't really have an identity. It takes miraculous games like Karl Anthony Towns putting up 46 points a night for us to have those great offensive games. Johnny Bryant helped, figure out an actual identity of this squad. And you're seeing that in Cleveland. He has made an impact. And a lot of people agree with that. I see right here, where's it at? Right here, David Smith. How bad do Knicks miss Coach Johnny Bryant, who went to the Cleveland Cavaliers? Tibbs looks a little lost without him. And he does. Tibbs is a good coach, but I feel like he's trying to figure out what this new identity is, and he can't really do it on his own. Like, it's not happening.
But the thing with Tom Thibodeau is that he doesn't configure with his coaches. You never see him talking to his coaches. Like on the sideline, you see Mo Cheeks. Mo Cheeks is having like a podcast with whoever's standing next to him. What is it? What's the guy's name? Mark Bryan.
Mark Bryan.
Yeah, they're like literally having a podcast on the side. It's like I don't know what they're talking about, but they're not talking to Tom Thibodeau. So somebody needs to be in Tom Thibodeau's ear saying something. So that's one thing with this guy. Johnny Bryan. Johnny Bryan was standing up with Tom Thibodeau, and he wasn't afraid to say anything. Also, too, you got to give credit to Kenny Atkinson, because Kenny Atkinson, if you watch Nets games, I've been watching Nets games. They actually been playing not Nets games, Cavaliers games. They actually been playing pretty hard. I'm trying to figure out why are they winning so many games. But Kenny Atkinson is really talking to his coaches, bro. Like on the sideline, the coaches are standing next to him. He's having conversations with his coaches during the game, and Tom Thibodeau doesn't do that. So I think that's a big issue with Tom Thibodeau.
Yeah,
Kenny Atkinson was on Golden State for the last 3 years.
Right.
The first year he was there, he had coaching interviews opportunities. He turned them down to continue to sit beside Steve Kerr and continue to gain knowledge and get better as an individual. That has to be noted on what's going on in Cleveland right now, because look how Cleveland is playing. He's implemented that tutelage into Darius Garland. Darius Garland is unlocked right now. I'm not trying to make this a Cleveland segment, but I'm just trying to do the comparisons. He's like Donovan Mitchell doesn't have to be the best player every game. You know what I'm saying? Clearly, he wasn't when they played us, So Kenny Atkinson is a difference up there, along with Johnny Bryan, man. I'm not going to lie. I don't think – look, if Tibbs relied on Johnny Bryan that much as a veteran coach, and now he just looks lost, we have major issues. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, Tibbs is like he's the second longest tenured coach in the Eastern Conference right now.
Yeah.
One of the oldest in the league. But he's got to figure it out.
But like Ebru said, the only time I've ever seen Coach Tibbs actually have conversations with an assistant coach on his sideline and actually pull them over to discuss something was when Johnny Bryant was there. Like, he does not do that.
Is Rick the associate head coach?
No, that's the thing. I don't think they replaced that position
title, right?
Yeah, and that's why you don't see him talking to anybody. I think he only really talks to the associate head coach. I was gonna say that.
Right, and I thought Rick might have took over that. So you know what I'm saying? I'm agreeing with y'all. I never see two things I don't see. I don't see Tibbs talking to his coaches, and I don't see Jalen Brunson as the captain of this team huddling the team up and talking to them on the floor. Like, there's no communication with the Knicks at all right now.
You know where Tom Thibodeau gets that from? He gets it from Doc Rivers, because if you watch them with the Bucks, Doc Rivers don't talk to nobody neither. That's a big problem. Yeah.
You know what's the crazy thing is that's one thing that we highlighted so much last year was how Jalen Brunson was the calm for that team. When things were crazy, when Julius Randle was acting out of pocket, when, one of the young guys was having a hard time, he would pull them aside. He'd regroup everybody. And now it's just like, I don't know if that friendship chemistry is not there with everybody yet or what, or his confidence is so low because he hasn't been playing well. But yeah, that captain, that, wearing that letter C, vote of, like confidence isn't really there right now. He's not doing those things that were so Jalen Brunson-esque last season, which is kind of concerning as well. But let's go through some other fans' thoughts on these this game and everything like that. So right here, Jay Nicky, the fact that almost 7 minutes of this horrendous quarter went by before a timeout was called is mind-boggling. There was a time where we were just looking absolutely horrible. And there was even one time where Clyde goes, I think Tibbs is calling a time. Oh, no, he's not. Where Clyde was, thinking, oh, this is where Tibbs typically calls a timeout because this is disgusting basketball. And nothing happened. It was like one of those. It reminded me of those videos you see all over TikTok and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, where it's like someone's getting beat up, and instead of anyone doing anything to help the guy that's getting jumped, they're all just watching on their phones. I feel like that was Tibbs. Like, he's seeing his guys get jumped on the court, and they're defenseless. They're not doing a single thing. and Tibbs is just there with his phone watching, like not doing anything to intervene, which was really, really weird. What do you guys think of, some of these calls by Tibbs, because this isn't Tibbs hate, because Tibbs last year earned a lot of my respect and a lot of my, admiration. But this year, it just seems like he's taking a step back, and I don't know why. What are your thoughts, Eru?
Well, I mean, this is classic Tibbs, not for nothing. Because I mean, the first year that we made the playoffs, it was great. But then, like, there was that time when we picked up Kemba Walker and Fournier. We missed the playoffs, but it wasn't solely because we picked up Walker and Fournier. It's because the Tom Thibodeau just basically pissed the season away. He started benching guys and then wasn't playing certain guys. He just kind of, and then he was playing guys out of position and stuff, and too many minutes. And that this is what he does. You have to, when people do things, you got to believe it. This is what he does. So I mean, like, he started the season thinking that he was going to have Shamet, thinking that he was going to have Precious in there. So he doesn't have these guys. So now he's thinking, like, I don't have my guys, so I'm not going to play anybody. Like, he's like, to hell with it. Like, I'm so stubborn that I'm going to let the team burn, because I don't have my guys playing. And I just think that's messed up that we have a guy like that that's so like so set in his ways that that's the only way that he's going to do that. These guys, our guys are playing 40 minutes per game, just about high minutes for no reason. They're exhausted. We want them to play defense, but I mean, they're exhausted. Like, the only way we can stand a chance is if guys are playing breakneck defense. It's not fair to ask these guys to do that for this long of time, especially when we're still trying to get the offense together too. So we do have the personnel to fill in, and he just refuses to use our players, and that's all on Tom Thibodeau. And he's a madman. He's a madman. And like, same thing like you said with Clyde. I do a watch along. Same thing. There was a couple times where I said, okay, the Knicks are going to call a timeout. Oh no, they're not. Here they go. They're bringing the ball up the court. Like what is going on? Because like, even just regular old Eru that doesn't know nothing about basketball, a jackass that has a podcast that nobody watches. You know what I'm saying? I can see that something needs to happen. But Tom Thibodeau has all this whatever experience and stuff like that. He's a professional basketball coach. Can't pick up minor things to fix the game. It's extremely annoying.
Yeah, no, I agree, and that's a concerning thing right now is when you think that an old dog has learned new tricks, and then you see him going back, and you go, "What is going on?" Like the things that we thought we overcame are rearing their ugly head again, and it just gets a little frustrating to be like, "Yo, how am I going to praise you about this last season, and now I have to talk about it again?" Like, I thought we walked out of this. I thought we moved towards something more healthy. But it's not the way it is. So I'll bring up the next topic, and then I'll throw it to Billy. So before I do that, I want to give a shout out to Josh Hart. It was all over everywhere, but a friend of ours on Knicks Twitter got made fun of for not having good enough seats at one of the games, got ridiculed pretty heavily, and Josh Hart saw that going on, and Josh Hart decided that he was going to donate tickets for him. Not only did he give him tickets, but he also gave him a signed jersey, and he seriously was all over social media. He was on SportsCenter, on MSG, on ESPN, every single person talking about this moment. So thanks for actually caring for the fans, looking out for the fans. This was really, really dope. To some of you in the fan base, stop looking for handouts. Josh Hart is a good guy. He's not Santa Claus. Stop with the, "Hey, Josh, I got the sniffles last week. Can you give me some tickets?" Come on, bro. Seriously. "Oh, I have a stub toe." Great. Congrats. Stop complaining. And
People have no shame, man.
Yeah, it's just crazy. It's like, "Oh, my girlfriend cheated on me, so I want to go with another girl. Can you give me her ticket so I can post it on Instagram, make my girl jealous?" Come on. Leave the guy alone. So shout out to Josh for doing the nice thing. But we all saw that play. All right, the play that Josh Hart gets called for a foul, which if you watch it, there's no way in God's green earth it's a foul. Okay, Colby's hair is all the way out here. All right, Sideshow Bob haircut. All right, it is not Josh Hart's fault. They called it foul on the head. I've never seen someone get a foul on a hairdo, but they called a foul on the head. But if you look at Josh's hand, it's up and out. If he would have hit his head, Colby White would have went straight down. His head would have went forward. But instead, his hair moves and Colby continues to just fall where he's at. No contact with the head whatsoever. No foul at all. Josh Hart gets interviewed. He said, they called it a foul. It's a foul. No excuses, no nothing. Takes responsibility for it. One thing I want to say to the fans, so many of you are freaking turning your back on Josh Hart over that play, and that is mind-boggling to me. Like, out of all the triple-doubles he's had this season, all the hustle he's had this season, like every single game, he is doing the things that we want him to do. And this, I highlighted and starred this one right here because it was a great point. It said, of course, Josh going to make a dumb mistake playing 45 minutes every night on back-to-backs. It's called decision fatigue. People got to stop acting like tiredness is a myth. You know, like, you want everything from this guy. And this was a great, great tweet right here from my guy, Coach. He said, that foul by Josh Hart is a result of the same hustle and effort we love about him. I can count endless times where that extra hustle he exhibits gave us an extra possession or secured a crucial rebound. Never changed, Josh Hart. Ball up top. 71 more to go. And I couldn't agree more. The hustle that he played with, whether you agree with, you know, how it was called, you agree with whether or not he should have done that, but that same I'm going to hustle and play hard till the last minute of the game is the same hustle we celebrate when it goes our way. Like, if he would have tipped that, it would have been, oh, Josh Hart is the greatest. Like, always doing this, that, and whatever. But we quickly turn our back on him. So, Billy, what are your thoughts on Josh Hart, that play, and how the fan base is kind of reacting to it?
That comment you just put up by Dunkosaurus, relax, bro. Relax. Because he beats in my spaces, man, and he's like an analytic guru. Like, comments like that, never mind, none. I'll skip it. Josh Hart played 34 minutes last night. He played the least amount of minutes that anybody in the starting five last night. All right? He didn't play 45 minutes. He played 34 minutes. Least amount of minutes in the starting five. Josh Hart gives you everything every night. That play is a result of it. Now, the two-minute report came out earlier today, and they said they called the foul because Josh Hart actually had the other hand in Colby White's back. It had nothing to do with the hair swipe. It was a hand in his back. And I want to say shout out to Eddie because last night in our post-game space, he actually said that. And he was spot on when the two-minute report came out. Shout out to him. So it had nothing to do with the hair. They said the foul was caused because Josh Hart had a hand in the smaller part of Colby White's back. All right. Still, I don't think it was a foul all the way because of the leg kick. You know, Colby that could have definitely been offensive. Because remember, Josh Hart got kicked in the nuts the same way earlier that game. But it's neither here nor there. Y'all know I'm on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? So I hear all the personalities every day or whatever. I can take it. You know what I'm saying? I dish it out. I can take it, whatever the case is. Half the fan base that cries about basketball never picked up a basketball day in their life. Facts. They have no idea what the hell's going on, all right? They want to rely on the numbers, the calculators, put the glasses on, get the Google spread doc and all that stuff, and they just want to tell you guys what is going on as far as what the numbers say. Mm-hmm. Shut up. At the end of the day, just shut up. Because when the reason I say that, I'm not telling nobody how to fan, but the reason I say that is because we live in the moment too much. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like right now, what's going on with Jalen Brunson? Like a lot of the people that were jumping on beds last year and throwing confetti up for Jalen Brunson are the same people who are saying he needs to take a step back. Josh Hart is a Swiss Army knife. He's going to give you everything every night, 100%. 34 minutes to Josh Hart last night felt like he only played 20. Guaranteed it. You know what I'm saying? Just relax, bro, when it comes to Josh Hart and the criticism, or just anybody on this team for that matter. You know, like I didn't really get mad at the call because, again, I said the Knicks don't deserve to win this game. because they were down by 22 to Chicago. I'm looking at bigger picture. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't looking at in the moment, the 17-0 run or whatever. I'm just bigger picture, man. And real quick, if I may go back to the last topic you and Apollo was talking about when it came to Tibbs.
Yeah.
I'll say this, and I've been saying this, and I've been strong in saying this. Tibbs, up to the end of last season, never had the resume to be let go or fired or whatever the case is. You know what I'm saying? He's never had the resume to be let go. This season, right here, and this is YouTube, so you ain't got to say recorded or whatever, bookmark it. I'm pretty sure you can go back to it. I'm owning this, what I'm about to say right now. I understand he just signed an extension. I understand it's 11 games in. I'm not crashing out. I'm not, jumping off the ship or nothing like that. But I will say this, and then I'm going to ask you guys a question, if I may, as well, at the same time.
Yeah.
If we regress, what I mean by regress, if Eastern Conference Finals at minimum, we don't make that, it might be time to have a serious conversation about our head coach. That's one. Now, here's my question. Has Tibbs peaked as our head coach with the New York Knicks?
So here's.
And what I mean by that, has he gotten us there? And is he capable of getting us over the hump?
Yeah. So here's what I will say. I think it's a little too early to say. I give it about 25 games.
I'm just saying.
No. But I'm saying, based off of what I see right now, though, what makes you go, has this person peaked or not? Is, am I at least seeing that we're heading in the right direction? And right now, I'd say, if we are heading in the right direction, it's not because of the coaching, but because of the players that are on the roster. So I'm not seeing, because you got to go, okay, mastermind defensive coach. That's what he's always been. We're the worst defensive team. We're not in the top 10, like maybe not the worst, but we're pretty horrible. And we're horrible with guys that we thought would make us a better defensive team.
That he handpicked. So you have guys that you go, man, these are lockdown defenders. Mikhail, the lockdown defender. OG, the warden. You got Campaign can lock you down. McBride can lock down the bench. All these guys. And yet the thing that you're supposedly a master at is not looking good. The only thing that's redeeming us right now is the fact that we're scoring a lot of points that helps us win some games. Like, we're not winning any games based off of defense. We're winning games because we outscored the other team. And that's only because we have scorers, not because we have a coach that's making us a better team. So I'm not seeing him do anything to get us to that next spot better than we were last year. And unless we see an improvement in our defense throughout the season, then yes, he's peaked, because that's his mastermind skill set. So if I come, let's say that, the lead singer of the band, you're in a band, you're the lead singer. Your last album did great. But now all of a sudden, the vocals are the problem. Like, people are loving the music, but the vocals are the problem. Well, that doesn't mean the band's bad. That just means the vocalist is not doing his job. The vocalist is sounding like trash, and people aren't vibing with it anymore. They're like, yo, that's not what you sounded like last album. We don't like this. So for me, if the defense does not improve soon, then yeah, Tibbs has reached his peak. Because if he can't make us good at the one thing that he's known for, then what's he going to make us good at? So that's my thoughts on it. Now, again, I'm not saying I'm not saying, I know it's 11 games. I don't, because you got to explain yourself when you say certain things. I'm not saying fire Tibbs. I'm not saying. I understand we're still shorthanded. I understand it's a long way to go. I'm not even talking to fire him during the season. This is at the end of the season thoughts. It has nothing to do with it right now.
Oh, you're giving more credit than I do. Like for me, if by All-Star break we're not better defensively, then why are we going to waste the rest of the season? In my opinion, like why are we going to waste a Towns, Brunson, rest of the season? That's my thoughts. I want to throw it to you guys on some other things. We got about 30 more minutes, and I want to open it up if anyone wants to join the open panel. 718 Fresh, appreciate you for being in the building. But I want to go with this little video real quick because this was heartbreaking. All right. So we all saw it, but let's bring it up. I'm going to keep it small so I don't get hit with that, whatever. And we're not even going to play the whole thing. This is the bullcrap foul. All right. And this shot right here. Here we go. So the most heartbreaking thing. And what I want to say is I do want to give Jalen Brunson some props, okay? Because some people on a Twitter space were saying, oh, he hasn't bought in. Jalen Brunson's not really bought in. And I'm like, yo, are you kidding me? Like, I don't know what this guy has to do to show you that he's bought in. And all of a sudden you're turning on him, like taking millions.
He was in.
Yeah, taking millions and millions in a pay cut to be part of the Knicks and to help us restructure this team. And the fact that a player who, could have sat out because it looked like he, rolled his ankle, didn't need to come back in the game, came back in the game, kept playing. And then clutch bucket after clutch bucket in the last, few minutes. And this shot didn't go down, not because it was a bad shot. This is a shot that I would want Jalen Brunson to take every single time because it makes absolutely no sense why this made it out. Everybody thought this game was over. Mike Breen was in the middle of saying that it was good, and it wasn't. Like, I want to pull up this picture because this picture says it all. Like, it's insane to see what this did. I showed my wife the picture, and she's like, yo, that is seriously the craziest thing that I think I've ever seen when it comes to basketball. Look at the freaking ball. It is 50% already in the basket, if not more than 50%. I've never seen a ball go in that much and find its way out. So shout out to Jalen Brunson for taking that shot because, in my opinion, that was a great shot. I think he did a great job with it. We've always talked about it. The one thing we always criticized about Randall was that in clutch minutes, he didn't want the ball in his hand. And if he did, it was a forced shot that had no chance of going in. But this was a well-executed shot. So shout out to him. What was your thoughts on that last play of the game, Eru? I'll go with you first.
That was a typical Brunson move there. He had it all the way. Patrick, they keep putting tall guys on Brunson like that's going to do something, but Brunson took care of it. But I mean, basketball guys, stuff like that. I kind of believe in that. So I mean, the ball went down, like you said, like about basically 70%. See, Dorcosaurus Rex said that, but it kind of like hovered out. Like it didn't really make sense physically how it went in, and then it kind of like hovered out. And the way that it came out kind of in the back of the rim, kind of. So I mean, I think it was something that needed to be done because, like, the guys need to get into these rooms backstage or whatever, and practice and whatever, and get into this film room and really watch film and what's actually happening because there's shots to be taken. Guys are not taking shots. Tom Thibodeau's offense is read and react, so it's not really necessarily about what they're doing or whatever. Guys need to be aggressive and take the shots that are there for them, and they're just not doing it. A lot of times, even Brunson, like, he gets kind of confused of whether he needs to go or not. Where like Towns comes up to set a screen, and then he puts Towns in a position where he's going to get like an illegal screen because he doesn't know where to go because Brunson is kind of just doing his own thing. So the thing is, guys need to get into to these rooms and really watch tape together and have conversations about where these shots are coming from, what they should do, what they want guys to do, And I just think that's where the conversation needs to have. Because I mean the last shot was good. It was right where we needed. But everything that about that game and about every loss that we had this season has to do with the film room, getting into the film room and everybody having real conversations, not just, and like people have to talk. Like Mikal Bridges is having a problem. They need to freaking speak. I'm not saying that they're not, but I mean, they're not doing a good job having conversations, trying to figure out where we're going wrong on both sides of this ball.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. What about you, Apollo? What are your thoughts on the shot?
I mean, he made the one before. It was a clutch bucket he made before that. So I wasn't mad at him taking it. I thought it was going to go in. I thought we won the game based off his bucket prior to that. Poor defense allowed for us to be back in that situation, of course. I wasn't mad at it, man. If there's a guy that I want taking a shot in that moment, is Jalen Brunson. I don't see anyone else. I mean, even the way Cat was playing tonight, I don't know if I could trust him getting the ball and getting a shot up in 3 seconds like Jalen Brunson did. Like, that's the only guy that I can really trust in that situation. So I'm not mad at it. Tibbs drew the play up for Brunson. Like, I mean, you kind of expected that, really. Yeah. I mean, he doesn't really draw up. He doesn't try to trick you with plays like other coaches. He doesn't have like a bunch of plays that he pulls out of his hat and then campaign hits a three in the corner. Yeah. Nobody's looking at him. Like, that's not the game coaches. But he's I don't know. It's still early, so I don't want to panic, especially with the coach. And you guys talked about the coach, and I had a few points, but I don't want to sit there and talk about his job too much. I do think they're going to give him a chance for this season, especially given that they're not 100% healthy, unfortunately. But going back to the shot, it's the shot I want you to take, and he didn't make it. So
yeah. And one thing that I see out here, which is a great point, is like it's defeating in a sense to go, oh man, like we could have had that game if that shot would have stayed in. But this is a great point. It shouldn't have required such late game heroics to beat the Bulls. The team is better on paper and we're mismanaged by the coach. And it's true, like it shouldn't have come down to a Jalen Brunson heroic shot at the end. Because if you look, it was a night and day difference, between the first half and second half. Like, I don't know who was on the court in that first half. Like, it was ugly to watch. So I want to know when the team is actually going to bring that veracity and bring that intensity from the first quarter through the fourth, instead of having to play a comeback game. It just didn't make sense. I'm going to throw it to Billy on this one because I think it's pretty funny. And Knicks Twitter, which you're very familiar with, it just shows how hilarious Knicks Twitter can be. So remember this one that I brought up a few minutes ago, guys? Let's at the beginning of the thing, there's this beautiful quote by Jay from Florida. I said this last week. I'm already looking forward to the summer. This team's got no dog. We need dog bad. So we got no dog. All right. This was on the 10th. All right. Look how quickly songs get auto-tuned on Twitter. You ready? Last night, Cat might be unstoppable in the East. Like, and this is one of like 5 different, tweets that he put out about how, incredible Karl Anthony Towns is. So we go from, we have no dog, let's just look to the summer, to we have someone that's unstoppable, So how true is that, Billy, about a lot of our fan base? How quickly we can go from celebrating a player to crucifying a player, over things that aren't that drastic.
They're in the moment. Like Jay, I follow Jay, talk to Jay a lot. Jay's crazy. Jay's he's in the moment, man. It's another one. Loved Brunson last year, but all of a sudden, man, put Brunson on the bench. I'm surprised you didn't put that one up. He had that last night. Put Brunson on the bench, keep him on the bench or whatever. Brunson's not the guy. It's just like people get mad when Charles Barkley said fans are stupid. But fans are stupid. You know what I'm saying? You can't get mad at Barkley, man. Yeah, man. Like, look, especially Knicks fans. You know what I'm saying? We're the most thirstiest fans, and I mean thirsty in a good way. I mean, we're thirsty for a chip. You know what I'm saying? Most of us have not seen it at all. We've probably seen all of our other teams win championships in some sort of fashion, except the Knicks. And I get it, man. Some Knicks fans are just ridiculous. Others are toxic. Others are realistic. Others are happy where we're at, and I get it, man. Just I can't explain that. I can't explain everybody's tweet, man. I really can't. But as far as
I don't see his tweets. I got them blocked, I think.
Yeah,
I don't want to see it. You know.
As far as Jay, man, he claims to be toxic, but they're not. They're not toxic. They're just they're overly sensitive.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? You can't talk bad, and then when somebody responds to you, you don't want to hear it or whatever the case is, because
nah. Shout out to Jay. Jay's not toxic. None of them are. They're just those guys that are like, it's like that.
Toxic.
That Bible verse that talks about, like people that are tossed back and forth, by the waves, like that's how I feel like they are with their fan base, one day the wind's got them over here, the next day the wind's got them over there. And then if we make it to the, Eastern Conference Finals, and win it all, oh, this was my squad,
Look, this is the same guy who was like, the book is out on Brunson last year, and then in the playoffs, there's a video of him jumping on the bed from excitement. So I mean, like I said, it's whatever.
That's what I'm saying. I got Jay from Florida blocked, if I'm not mistaken, because I was trying to pull him up. I think I still got him blocked. Even Ari from Manhattan, I had him blocked for a little while too, because like you said, they keep flip-flopping back and forth, and also too the language. I can't deal with the language sometimes on my timeline, so I got certain words blocked also on my timeline. But I mean, I met Ari from Manhattan in person, and he's nothing like he is on the internet. So. Sometimes guys take on a persona on the internet and they kind of go crazy with it. But once you get used to Twitter, and not just Twitter, social media, how it is, you get where people are coming from, and then you can kind of like navigate accordingly.
No. Shout out to Ari, because I've met Ari quite a few times, and Ari's one of those guys that'll straight up tell you like he's emotional. Like he'll be like, I get caught in the moment.
He's honest with it.
He's honest with it. He's like, I'm emotional. He's like, I get up in my feelings. He'll be like, sometimes he'll be like, I don't know what I was talking about last night. But it is what it is. All right. If y'all are in the chat, please do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, follow us, turn it on notifications, add our playlist so you know what's going on with us. We got another episode next Thursday, where Dexter Henry will be joining us. He was going to do it this week, but things happen. So Dex will be with us next week. And then the week after is my son's birthday and Thanksgiving. We're going to give everybody a break. And I still got to talk to these guys, but it looks like we may have to pivot a little, maybe to Wednesdays in December, because every single game that happens in December is on a Thursday. And we're not trying to compete with our own squad. So we'll hit you guys up with that information. Working on a few guests right now. But let's talk about this one last thing right here. You brought it up earlier. This to me talks a lot about, the kind of player that Karl Anthony Towns is. We've been talking about his numbers and how he pretty much had an offensive balling out of control game last night. Yet he took responsibility for the free throws. Like everyone's off the court. Monica McNutt gets on the court to do her post game. And what do we see? A torn jersey, Karl Anthony Towns at the free throw line doing what he has to do. Shout out to Dat Franco, Knicks fan since birth. He posted those 2 missed free throws by Cat were big, but I love the professionalism and work ethic. So as soon as the game's done, everybody's gone. Everyone's going to the locker room, getting ready to go home. That man is at the free throw line. And you see, while even the announcers are talking about him, you see he'll hit a 3, but he's walking with his head down. Like he was upset about every single missed free throw. And he took that responsibility that while everyone's celebrating his accolades that night, he's not focused on his accolades. he's focused on the things that could have won the game that he missed, because one of those free throws made could have sent it into overtime. Two of those free throws made, the game was still ours. So shout out to Karl Anthony Towns, because I see a work ethic in him that we want. Like we talk about, certain things that we didn't see, in Randall that we wanted to see. And I'm seeing those in Cat, like, do I think he's a great defender? No, but at least he's trying, he's getting fouls because he's at least trying to stop his guy, so shout out to Karl Anthony Towns. What are your guys' thoughts on Karl Anthony Towns 12 games into the season?
Well, just to add what you was talking about, he also had a busted knee too. He had like banged knees with somebody, so even he needed to go in the back to get treatment, but he still stayed out there to get free throws. So that goes to add to that mystique there with him.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Apollo?
I mean, in some ways, he's better than advertised. I'll give him that.
Yeah. He's not soft, right?
Yeah, he's not soft. His ability to just get almost whatever he wants sometimes on offense is outside of the post is very impressive. I do want to see him get a little bit more stuff going on in the post, but outside of the defense, which Billy alluded to earlier, that you can't really be mad at because you kind of know who he is. So if if you want to turn a blind eye to that, Cat's been doing better than we expected offensively, for sure. I didn't see this. I didn't watch a lot of Minnesota games, so that's probably why I didn't see it. But I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think we've seen this Cat in a little while, even in Minnesota. Yeah. I think once Ant got there, it kind of like it was like, this is your show. But I think him coming back home, playing in the Garden, the mismatch of Brunson and him, it makes it more visible. You know what I mean? And if you look at the numbers, he's one of the best players in the NBA right now. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I mean, you can't take that from him. So I'm giving Cat a lot of credit for what he has done so far. I want to see more, especially defensively, but I can't ask you to do too much as long as the effort's there. And the thing about Cat is he tries. He does. Yeah. That's the sad part, is I can't really be too mad at him because he really does try. He's just not, he's just not a great defender. He's trying though. Like you said, there you go. He's trying. Cat's a horrible defender. Yeah. Great offensive. He's really trying his best to guard in certain situations without getting into foul trouble. And I think that's the issue with him is I think he'd be a better defender if he just kept his hands up a little bit more, especially if he didn't pick up fouls early in the game. I think if Cat found a way to leave the first half with only 2 fouls, it would allow him to be more aggressive defensively throughout the game for the rest of the game. And I think a lot of the reason why towards the end of the game where he's just not guarding the paint is because he just doesn't want to pick up fouls because he picks them up so easily. Yeah. So, like I said, Cat, it has been better than advertised in a lot of ways. I love what I see offensively. I would like to see more defensively, but at the end of the day, we need Mitch.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Cat, I said it last season. Cat has been one of my favorite, big guys since he entered the league. Mm-hmm. However, I didn't think that it was going to work on the Knicks. Like, I didn't think that, Karl Anthony Towns to the Knicks made sense. Mm-hmm. And now that he's here, I'm like, dang, I'm seeing a new, intensity to his game. And this is the thing. Something that pisses me off is this whole, soft thing. What makes a player, quote unquote, soft? Right. No, he's not an Anthony Mason, Charles Oakley, style player. But those guys also weren't putting up 40+ points a night. When he takes it to the basket, he's not going soft. He's getting to the rim. He's getting people off the dribble. He's working hard. So is he a strong defensive player? No. But let's be honest. How many actual two-way players do we see in the NBA now where we're like, yo, they're great offensively and defensively? Not a ton. Rudy Gobert, you go, oh, he's a great defender. No one talks about Rudy Gobert being a dope offensive player. Like, those words don't come out of your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
No one's talking about, oh, Miles Turner is like this elite, shot blocker. No, they're talking about how Miles Turner can get a few blocks, but that he's great at the 3-point line, and that he plays well with Halliburton. Like, you got to look and see, okay, yes, there's shortcomings, but that's with every single player. Luka Doncic, no one's going, oh man, Luka Doncic, best offensive player and his stellar defense. No, a lot of times it's one or the other. But if you're showing me you're at least trying on that other end of what you're not, great at, that to me is what matters. Like, I don't watch games with Luka and go, man, that was a really good defensive attempt. I'm always like, oh, if it's Luka that's guarding him, it's probably going to be a bucket, at the end of the day. But with Karl, at least he's trying, like we saw in the chat. What are your thoughts on Karl so far, Billy?
He sucks.
Yeah.
No, man, I'm just playing. Like I said, man, Karl is Karl. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of Knicks fans haven't watched him, so I'm not going to get on them for being all excited. They should be excited, man, because it's an exciting thing to have a guy with his arsenal of offense on your team. It really is, especially at that position and his height and all that, man. I just hope he's durable, honestly. I really hope he's durable. Last night he had a big knee-to-knee incident. That's another reason why Jalen probably took that last shot, but I want my captain closing the game out for me anyway. I don't have no issue with that. But he's questionable going into tomorrow's game with that knee contusion. I'm glad that's all it was. The first thing I was thinking was, man, is that the same knee he just had surgery on for that meniscus last year? But and you saw him bending over, rubbing it or whatever. But I just hope his durability is on point this year, man, because we're gonna need Cat. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, we traded Randall for Cat, and Cat is our guy. He's our man. You know what I'm saying? I still got faith in Brunson. Brunson's still my captain. I don't want nobody. Brunson's my guy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He's one of the reasons why we have the opportunity that we have right now. But as far as Cat, man, again, I've been watching Cat for a long time. I was even at the draft when he got picked number 1. Cat is a very special guy to have on this team, man, on the offensive side of the ball. So defensively, like I said earlier, no sense of harping on it. That's just not his thing. But Apollo said something that I've always said about Cat. Cat, his IQ isn't very. It's like if he has we saw it last night. Matter of fact, if he has 2 fouls in the first half and coach trusts him, 9 times out of 10 he's going to get that 3rd foul prior to halftime. Mm-hmm. Like you're not a good enough defender to be giving fouls away. You need all 6 of your fouls. You know what I'm saying? And that's not me being a Cat hater. It's just facts. So he's got to do a better job at that, man, because that little stat came out this week about him at the rim protection. 32 out of 35 he's giving up at the rim or whatever like that. Somebody, it's a fake stat. Well, no, there's no such thing as a fake stat. Look on, because it's your favorite player. But at the end of the day, man, Cat's gonna give us some great moments. Yeah. He's gonna give us some great moments on the offensive side of the ball, man. So we should be lucky to have a guy like Cat on our team.
Yep. Very true. All right. Well, real quick, before we close up shop for today, I'll round table it. Your guys' thoughts on tomorrow's game against the Nets. Do you think we walk away with the W? Do you think we take an L? I'm pretty sure that our next 2 games are against the Nets, if I'm correct.
Mm-hmm. Friday and Sunday.
Okay. Yeah. So what are your guys' thoughts on, us going up against the Nets? It looks like, they're having some decent, games so far. They're not playing bad. I think where they at? Actually, they are playing pretty bad. They're 5-7. So they don't have a winning record. We don't have a winning record. But a lot of people want to see how this goes since we traded to get McHale. And it seems like they're playing, chemistry hasn't really been disrupted with McHale not being there. So what are your guys' thoughts on the next 2 games?
Well, I've been following a little bit because they've been playing hard. So I've been trying to figure out what's going on with them. They've been in a lot of these games. They just lost down the stretch because they don't really have a closer. Yeah. Their leading scorer is a nut. You know what I'm saying? My man, Cam, whatever his name.
Cam Thomas.
Yeah, he's a freaking nut. He never seen a shot that he didn't like, man. But the big surprise with them is this guy Jordy Fernandez, the coach. He's got them playing some really good defense. The guys are diving for loose balls and that type of thing.
Yeah.
So it to me, it might be like a situation where like when we played Atlanta, and it's just similar teams like that, Houston and whatever, where the young guys, they just have a pulse and they're out there, playing, hard, extremely hard. That's going to give the Knicks problems. That's what we've been having problems all year. So don't sleep on the Nets, man. They might give us problems when we play them. And then just about Cat too. You guys are talking about offense and defense, but he's a plus 4 in rebounds. Last 2 seasons, he averaged 8 rebounds per game. Now he's averaging 12. He hasn't done that in I had it up here. He hasn't done it in maybe 5 years.
Since he was coached by Tibbs, I believe.
Yeah. He hasn't had 12 since then. So I mean, not 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 years he hasn't had that. So I mean, got to give him kudos for that. But I mean, the injuries and stuff, it goes without saying.
Yep. All right. What about you, Apollo?
We better win these next 2 games because it's not like any of these other teams. You can't lose to Brooklyn when they don't have a star. Like that'll get. If you think people want Tibbs out of here now, oh my God. If we lose 1 to 2 of these games, we better win both of these games. If we lose 1 or 2 of these games versus the Nets, Knicks Twitter is going to lose their damn mind. And part of that reason is going to be because Nets Twitter is going to jump right into Knicks Twitter and start talking what. So we better win that game. 2, I'm hoping something is awoken in Macau because he's playing his former team, and then he can just play freely and more comfortable. I think he might catch rhythm in this home trip. You know what I mean? I just, if he can get going against his former team, just to have an inspired game, the guys can look to get him more involved and make him be aggressive and take those shots. And I think that's something that he needs so that he can take that into the next couple games, and the team also can see oh, okay, well, this is what you're like in crunch time moments, or this or that or whatever situation. I just think those 2 things, those are my 2 points. We better win these games, and Macau should use this game as an opportunity to play better, because if he continues to struggle versus the Brooklyn Nets, that'll look even worse for us. So that's pretty much all I got.
All right, Billy.
Yeah, man. Look, we got a nice little 3-game trip, 3-game homestand. Friday, which is also an in-season tournament game, by the way, tomorrow night against Brooklyn. Again, we got to begin on Sunday. Then we got the Wizards after that, and then we go out west for 5 games. Utah, Denver, Dallas, Phoenix, and somebody else I forget. I'm sorry, but look. Knicks are almost they're it's time to find an identity. It's time to find an identity, man. It's time to get some consistency. Hopefully Jalen Brunson can not find out, but find some consistency in his offensive game. You know what I'm saying? Because we need him. End of the day, we need him, man. We dropping a lot of games, especially when Cat's scoring 40s and high 30s and stuff. And that is a testament to our captain not being there, man. We need a consistent showing from our captain. Mikal Bridges and the defense, I needed to step up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And just a little bit. Because right now, again, teams is not being feared of what we're bringing to the table on the defensive end. We're getting up 124 points on the defensive end. That's not good. That's not New York Knicks basketball, and quite frankly, that's not Tom Thibodeau basketball. And I understand that we're out. I get that. I understand that we're out, man. But you got all these coaches on the bench, man. What are their specialties? They gotta be able to coach something. You know. So these games right here, honestly, the Knicks aren't in position to say, this is an easy game, we should win this tonight, because you're not a good team right now. So they might be saying the same thing again as for us. Brooklyn's probably like, man, we're about to get us one of these, probably 2 of them. You know what I'm saying? So this is a very important game. But like I said, tomorrow night is game 2 of the in-season tournament. Our pool is pretty. It's we can really win our pool. You know what I'm saying? If they get their head out their butt. So, yeah, man.
Yeah.
I also think the verdict is out on our defense, so we got to be careful.
You said what?
Oh, yeah.
Scouting report. The scouting report is out too.
Yeah,
They
I
don't
think
know
the
how to
verdict
attack
is.
us.
Oh,
the scouting report is
absolutely.
out on our defense, so we really got to be careful, man.
We're letting teams with low offensive efficiency tear us apart. Matter of fact, the 3-point shooting, teams can shoot as many threes they want against us right now. And I don't want to talk. It'll be 2 more hours.
Shout out to Dokosaurus Rex. He mentioned that that they gave Boston and Cleveland a run for their money too. So these guys, they play extremely hard. So don't be surprised if they come at us. You know, when we play them.
Their coach is he's the Canadian national team coach, national coach.
Yeah.
So
One more point. My bad, Phil.
No, you good. You good.
The only other thing that might look up for us is because the only other player in the league that is worse at defending the rim or in the paint that's not on our team is Cam. What one of the Cams over there? Not Thomas, the other one.
Cam Payne. Oh no, Cam Johnson. Cam Johnson.
Cam Johnson. So that might work for us as well. Hopefully we could make something happen there, but they still got Claxton over there, so I'm sure he's gonna be defending the paint. But we got to take advantage somewhere.
He's questionable, by the way. He got a lower back injury. Yeah. So we'll see tomorrow.
Okay, cool. We'll see how that goes. That's all I got, Phil. You still on mute? There you go.
I lost my mic for a second. I don't know what happened. You know. All right, well, that's that. So we appreciate it. If you guys can, tomorrow after the game, I believe Ryan and Lee or Ryan and someone else on the channel will be on Nick of Time for the post game, breaking down what we saw in the game. If you guys have time now and you still want to hear more people rant about your New York Knicks, I just posted the link to Eddie Presti's Twitter space. That's going on right now. So support our friend Eddie Presti, Tony, and Sonny Carlton. And we will be back on Thursday with Dexter Henry. If there's something you want us to review whiskey-wise or cocktail-wise, or if there's someone you want us to try to get that is another, Knick content creator or someone within the Knicks community, please drop us a message. We're also, willing to talk to people on other teams that we are playing against. We would love to have conversations with them after the games, whether we win or lose, and break down what we saw from both sides. So hit us up, message us. If you don't follow us, please follow us on Twitter. You see most people's Twitters here. I'm Phil_all_caps. You see Apollo's there. You see Billy's there. You see Diehard Eru's right there. Follow everybody, support everybody. And if you can, show us love. Subscribe, hit that like button, tweet it out when we have these shows. We got about 178 rocking with us right now. We'd love to see those numbers get back to where they were towards the end of last season on the other channel, where we were rocking about 350 to 700 a night. So let's boost those numbers up. If you can, hit this on your Twitter, edit, copy, edit, paste the episode for your friends to be able to watch it on Replay Gang. And once again, we appreciate you guys all. And until next week, we'll catch you guys later. We appreciate it. And support. If Apollo goes live, support him. Billy, every single day, he's going to be on talking some silly nonsense at some point in the day because Nick's Twitter needs it and he supplies it. Eru breaks down the games during the game. So follow, support, watch what he's doing. And until next time, we'll see you guys next week. Blessings.
Peace.
This is the moment we waited for. Everything you want is right here. We gon' give them what they came for. We gon' take it up from last year. Shoot 'em a shot, boy, I'm long range. Me and the team on the same thing. Stay down, never switched